Meet a walking dead man who is about to lose everything for love. Wind. Not the gentle kind. The kind that strips the land bare. It's 1845, the edge of the Kalahari, and a man is walking toward a mission station in Kuruman, with nothing left to lose. His cattle, gone. His crops, dead. His mission, destroyed. He has already failed. His name is David Livingstone. History will call him a legend. But legends are not born like this. They are born in collapse. Inside those stone walls lives Mary Moffat. She understands something he doesn't yet fully grasp. This land is not just fighting over faith, it's fighting over power. And beyond those walls, men are watching. Men who profit from chaos, men who fear literacy, men who fear change. And loving each other here, in this place, will not be safe. Their marriage will not be born in peace, it will be born in quiet war. And before this story ends, it will cost them more than either imagine. It was a wind-scoured morning in Kuruman when a young Scottish surgeon turned missionary first stepped into the compound that would change his life. David Livingstone arrived at the Moffat's mission station in 1845, after the drought and raids that had driven him from his own Kalabang outpost. Kuruman, at the edge of the Kalahari, was Robert Moffat's refuge, a place of well-cut stone, Setswana hymns, and the slow, stubborn work of translating the scriptures into a language of the interior. It was there that Livingstone met Mary Moffat, the missionary's daughter. Quiet, steady, schooled in the long rhythms of life on the frontier, theirs is a love that always reads better against consequences. David met Mary as a man broken by hardship, but fierce in conviction. He had watched cattle stolen, crops fail, and converts abandoned in the face of violence. Mary carried the authority and humanity of 30 years of her parents' ministry. She had listened as local leaders and converts debated what Christianity might mean for their land, and she knew the cost of faith in a contested borderland. Their courtship was not candlelit ballet, but a shared life in a kraal of stone, mending stockades, ministering to the sick, translating, teaching. In April 1845, they married at Kuruman. The ceremony itself was an island of tenderness amid storm-tossed politics. To understand why that wedding was so risky, we must look past romance to the forces aligned against them. The 1840s interior of southern Africa was a place where economic interest, racial politics, and old networks of enslavement braided together. Boer trekboers, expanding from the Cape, sought land and cattle. Neighboring polities and itinerant raiders sought wealth and labor, and the remnants of an older slave economy still threaded coastal and inland markets. Missionaries, British, moral, and literate, offered a different horizon. Literacy, new alliances, and appeals to London. For men who profited from the old order, that horizon was a threat. Historians document a deliberate campaign to weaken missionaries' influence. Local and trans-frontier actors, Boer leaders alarmed at British sympathy for Africans, and traders whose profits depended on unregulated raids and slave sales, used three blunt instruments. First, economic pressure. Cattle were stolen, crops sabotaged, and mission stations rendered unsustainable. Livingstone's own Kalabang mission had been undermined by such raids and drought before he fled to Kuruman. Second, legal and rhetorical warfare. Missionaries were accused of being agents of British imperial designs, painted as tools to dispossess white settlers and to upend indigenous authority. Third, targeted rumor and intimidation. Slavers and their allies spread stories that missionaries betrayed local leaders, that they would replace chiefs with colonial administrators, and that converts invited foreign control. These were not abstract threats, they produced sharp decisions for David and Mary. In the months after their marriage, the couple stood in the center of a struggle over land, labor, and conscience. Mary watched as her father's hard-won translations and trust among the Tswana were made into ammunition by enemies who wished to paint conversion as an agent of takeover. David, who already believed that trade and commerce could replace the slave networks, began to see his mission entwined with political consequence. The work of evangelism could not be disentangled from the economic structures that slavery had created. Their love matured in that crucible. Mary's calm labors, nursing, teaching, raising children, gave David the home from which he could write and travel, the human anchor that allowed him to face the conspiracies arrayed against them. He wrote letters of exposure and appeal to the London Missionary Society, insisting that the violence around them was not mere local feuding, but a systematic attempt to preserve a predatory economy. Mary, in private, kept the household together when threats rose, and when the couple's resources ran thin. They would leave Kuruman in later years, their lives pulled into broader currents. Livingstone's publicity in Britain, his growing condemnation of the slave trade, and the long separations that exploration required. But in that wind-scoured morning marriage at Kuruman, between 1843 and 1849, the story of David and Mary is also the story of a frontier love, hardened by conspiracy. A conspiracy of profit and fear that sought to break missionary influence by theft, slander, and legal pressure. Their marriage survived not because it was simple, but because it learned to be deliberate. Faith bound to scholarship, tenderness bound to endurance, and love that refused to be only private in a world where every household was a political act.